Hello and welcome everyone to the Best in Slot Radio Podcast, a podcast focused on Final Fantasy XIV, its game design and features, as well as how it compares to other games on the market. I'm one of your hosts, DTG. With me, as always, gonna be my boys, Ez and Nox. Say hi.
Yo!
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And so this one is episode 4. We're going to be talking about the Endwalker Job Changes. How we have it structured is actually going to be the stuff that we don't particularly know the best, and then we're going to go into the stuff we really care about. So to get us started, why don't we start with Ez? First one's first. You're the tank guy. Hit me with Dark Knight.
So I wouldn't say this isn't one that I don't know super well, just that So we have a doc, and we put things in an order that we think makes sense. And I put this super early because all my other fellow Dark Knight players understand how fucking little we get in Walker.
Yeah.
So for instance, delete that salted earth macro, you fucking normies, because now it drops where you squat. I never got that. I always fucking just targeted my salted earth. That felt so much better to me. I did to click and then you click again.
I do like the fact that they are making it so that you can change that. Like, you can either have it drop at your feet, or you can go into the UI and say, I don't want that to happen, and you can still target it, which is nice.
And then, so also kind of like everyone else, you're getting a couple new things as we level up. Not a ton worth mentioning there, because they mentioned in an interview how it's getting more difficult to give us more and more abilities as we keep going. I don't know about you guys, but I have Shift, Control, and Alt all keybound, and I'm just
yeah. I'm at that point too. Control and Shift for me, with a couple of alts, which is, they can't keep going.
No, it's just, there's just not enough room. Like, they either have to evolve already in place talents, which they're doing, or they just don't give us new shit.
Right.
Or it's very sparingly. Like with Dark Knight, so our new ability at level 90 is Shadowbringer.
Nice. Okay.
So it's a radial line attack. Deals unexpected damage. It's and potencies don't fucking matter because we're getting a rework for that come Endwalker. But it's a 60-second, has max 2 charges. It hits the first enemy with aspected damage, so full force, and then everything in the line after that is 50%. In addition to that, at level 90, Frey, your shadow homie, the best homie, he also gets Shadowbringer. So when you summon your simulacrum, he will also gain that ability with you. So that's cool. I'm glad that they're keeping, obviously, when they introduce the simulacrum at level 80, it's cool that they're making sure every expansion he is going to be learning your new things with you.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, but that's pretty much the highlights for Dark Knight. Not a lot. It's not Dark Knight's expansion anymore, boys.
Yeah, which is have they always done it where they showcase what the expansion poster child is going to be? Because it feels like Endwalker is obviously Paladin.
Yeah, what was
Stormblood?
Stormblood was Monk and Samurai.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a split.
Well, Samurai, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then in Shadowbringers, we obviously get the Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. However, a lot of the wind was taken out from under our sails because this new hot shit town, the Gunbreaker, decided to come along and be the best tank.
Absolutely.
And what's even worse, and we'll talk about them.
Tank.
I mean, Gunbreaker is amazing. Aesthetically, and I've said it before, aesthetically, I love Dark Knight the most. But I feel like Dark Knight is the worst tank. And we can talk about that more later.
Sure.
When we talk about Reaper, because I feel like Reaper is digging into that same pool that Dark Knight players are. Okay. And we might lose a lot of Dark Knight tanks because I'm an edgelord, and Reaper is that swan song. It's calling to me.
I feel it.
But yeah, that's Dark Knight.
Okay. So next up we got Scholar. So I'm heal maining next expansion. I'm gonna play all 4 just so that A, I can switch it up, and B, I can make sure that I have all my bases covered. Some people are like, why not just play 1 regen and 1 barrier? I want to know it all. So Scholar, with the Summoner rework, we assumed Scholar was also going to get a bigger rework, and it didn't. And I know a lot of people are upset. However, me personally, especially from someone who's looking at it from a raider standpoint, if you will, the Scholar is going to be at the beginning of the expansion. I'm not going to speak for the whole expansion, but the Scholar is going to be one of the better healers. The shields are that much more potent. They didn't really get a lot, but I think that AoE sprint ability is so much more crucial than people are giving it. And
I can see that being clutch in a high-end raid environment.
Especially when you can plan it. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, it comes off in like the same manner as like Dark Knight in that you're getting quality of life improvements, maybe not necessarily all of the ones you want, but you are getting them. Right. It's not flashy. It's not the Summoner rework.
Yeah. And I think that's the reason why people are feeling as let down as they are, is because Summoner got such a large one, and because those 2 classes are essentially intermixed. They assumed that Scholar was going to do it. And to be honest, Scholar's kit is pretty, I don't know that boring's the right word, but I know that it's not very intuitive.
You know what would have made people lose their goddamn minds if they main Summoner, like something that Scholar could have gotten?
Fairies that actually work?
Yes, in the form of Alphino's old carbuncles, the black and white ones.
Yeah, and I completely agree.
People would have lost their shit.
Yeah, even if it was just glam.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would lose it. And my thought is, so what, those carbuncles just don't have a home anymore?
Oh, no!
If you think about it, they're just gone. Where did they go? No one ever talked about it. But
moving on.
Yeah, Scholar for sure is it's not getting as much as people maybe necessarily wanted, but I don't think people are giving it its fair shake, and I do personally think it's going to be one of the better healers to start the expansion. Maybe not in 4-man dungeons. We've always known that Scholar is really difficult in 4-man dungeons, but in a raid environment, a good Scholar is going to be pretty sweet. So I'm actually I'm pretty stoked for that, which kind of moves us into our next one, and that's going to be White Mage. That's something I've been playing a lot more lately, just so I could comprehend that kit a little bit better. The biggest change that people are going to see on this one is the 1.5 second GCD that affects their damage attacks. That's going to be, Glare is so quick. This is something that you do so many times. I think thin air, the change to thin air is pretty sweet, especially since MP management I feel like is going to be even more crucial next expansion if they deliver on the fact that they believe that healers should have to do more healing. So I'm really stoked for the White Mage. It's not my favorite per se. They got a shield as well that they pick up at level 86, which I think is interesting that they're, I don't know if homogenizing the kits is the right way to say it, but they're
which is weird because
I want a shield healer, I'll shield heal.
Exactly. Yeah. It's that's what their goal with this expansion was, is hey, Astrologen is weird, and we're going to make him not weird anymore.
Yeah. Well, and then Astrologen already had it built into its current form. Not its Endwalker form, but its current form. So now it's just we're going to take what we thought was a good idea on Astro and just give it to White Mage, which just seems weird. It seems I would rather just have not gotten a new ability, maybe gotten some new interaction from the Blood Lilies or something like that. But
Blood for the Blood Lily.
Blood for the Blood Lily. But that's it for those 2 healers. Let's move on to melee for a little bit. I think Nox, you got one up your sleeve.
Yeah, particularly Ninja. It's one of the ones that I'm going to be rolling as an alt when I go in. Not something I want to start off with because it's definitely it's a mind-boggling affair of sorts. But the big change that I do want to point out is the change with the Huton gauge. Sorry if I'm butchering any of these skill names. It's a mouthful. But instead of their cooldown basically, or the buff going up for 70 seconds, it's actually going to be getting shifted to 60 seconds, which it falls in line with SE or Square Enix's path to line everything up on that minute timer, or 30, 60, 90, 2 minute, which is really cool. I mean, 10 seconds is you don't really miss it until you notice it, so maybe that's just But another thing also that was really big that I actually like was actually some button condensing that's being done with 2 OG CDs. Assassinate and Dream Within a Dream are actually getting like combined. So Assassinate kind of like just upgrades into Dream Within a Dream.
That's kind of sweet.
Just to kind of make things a bit more fluid that way.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's some other really good changes that I'm interested in with the Bunchen, which is basically the skill that you get to like get your clones and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you get to do some AoE with those guys. That's pretty sweet.
As someone who has no idea how to play Ninja and just haven't yet, I got hype as fuck when I saw him use Chidori. Lightning.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
That was something. Yeah, the level 90 stuff. After using Rayton, you basically can do the forked Reiju or fleeting Reiju, which basically are gap closers.
Okay.
So that's gonna be really fun.
So you played Ninja quite a bit.
Shenanigans. Huh?
You played Ninja quite a bit then.
Yeah.
Okay, so the only thing I know about Ninja and Endwalker is Shadow Fang is disappearing.
Yeah, they're dot. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a dot.
Yep.
Literally never even. I don't think I have it unlocked.
I'm pretty sure the 14 devs are just trying to kill off dots as quietly as they can. Like it's just.
But is that to build towards another class, or is that to just say we don't want to deal with this mechanic type anymore?
Isn't the only class that does dots anymore? Yeah, just Bard
and healers.
So
Samurai.
I think it's kind of do with like debuff bloat and code bloat overall, because
that's what I
keep
thought.
Having to like keep stacking on debuffs and like dots and dots on dots on dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. Because they've been talking in the live letter, they've been talking about engine slowdown, and that's the reason for the number reduction. So I can totally draw a parallel.
It could also just be gameplay fulfillment, right? Like I haven't played Ninja, but I don't know how fun it is to press that dot button, right? Like
there's a special way you have to do
it. It's in the cycle. It's in the cycle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like it's a positional in the cycle, so that's it.
So the changes sound pretty good then, honestly.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. It's gonna be definitely like my little melee home away from home from my other more interesting notable mentions, but I digress.
So spoiler free, how good is the Rogue story or Ninja story?
Oh man, it's pretty awesome. Like,
okay, that's my only incentive to play it. It's not a class that I've ever really been drawn to, but everyone talks about how great that story is.
I don't know where we're talking about the Rogue story when neither of you fuckers have finished Dark Knight. All right,
I knew he was going to say it. Yeah, well, same writer, ironically. So those are two things. Now that we have this break, those are two things I plan on achieving. So
woo,
nice. What do we got next?
Bard. That's me. So Bard, just gonna drop it like it's hot. I don't play Bard. I have an interest in playing most everything, so I know enough about it to give an idea.
Same.
Biggest change for Bard, like the thing that I'm most excited about, is their level 90 ability, which is an ability that gives it's integrated into their songs or /codas, or they're called codas. But it's a stacking buff that they have for themselves, and they can choose to press what's called a new button, Radiant Finale, whenever they want. And depending on how many stacks of coda they have, up to 3, it gives a 2%, 4%, or 5% raid-wide damage buff.
Flat damage?
Flat damage.
How long does it take for that to load up, do you think? To get the 3 stacks, that is.
I think to use each ability, it was 30 or 45 seconds. So it's a commitment. Yeah. And also, like, just looking at those numbers, like, do you really want to save it to get that last 1%, or do you want to just blow it when you get 4?
Yeah, I was going to say 4 almost seems more ideal, but it also depends on your group if they're trying to maximize particular windows.
Yeah, so that looked really cool to me. Bard, Nox Main's machinist, like, he can tell you how subpar Bard feels, right?
I don't like it at all. Mine's 71, and it's been a grind, and I hated most of it. It just doesn't feel like an archer class to me.
Yeah,
like it has archer abilities, but
yeah, I really dislike that instead of leaning into the archer archetype, they leaned into the I play music, I play songs, which is unique. It is unique, you know. Right. Like In the same sense, like the paladin isn't this holy warrior; he's a fucking gladiator.
He's a gladiator, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I have my own opinions on how I feel that class should have gone. But I also don't develop a game that has 28 million registered accounts to its name. So I think they probably know what the fuck they're talking about and or doing.
So while I'm not super jazzed about nothing about Bard really stuck out to me. You know, they're getting new shit just like everybody.
Sure.
The raid-wide AoE buff that they choose how it goes off, that was cool to me.
That's pretty big. That's definitely pretty big. Because I was saying, I had a video out that I not predicted, what I was asking for in the first live letter, number 66, and I said Bard needs fixing. On so many levels.
You know someone that doesn't need fixing? Dancer.
Dancer is amazing. So it is a class I'm going to push towards my wife when she eventually gets there. And the changes that they've made, while they've been not necessarily as many as people expected, being that it was a new class with the Gunbreakers, so they expected kind of a few more things. I think the changes are actually in line with how the class should be played. They have made one of their weapon skills just both single target and AoE. It just does the same damage. And then there's a multiplier that does less to AoE if AoE happens. That's perfect. Why I don't like that I have to think about certain shit like that, especially with how this system plays out. And then Esprit or Espirit, depending on how you pronounce it, being guaranteed come next expansion with your dance partner is a huge step up and going to make that class or job extremely faster than it's currently playing now, which I think is, read and react, and it's going to be faster than that, and I'm super stoked. I think they're in a great spot, and I think Dancer mains are probably super stoked. That maybe they expected more, but I think when you look at what's coming, it's in a fantastic spot.
As a tank, I also dislike thinking.
I get that. Do I want it? If you're spending a resource, I don't. If there's two mobs and oh shit, I should AoE here, but I'm gonna lose DPS if I do that. That feels bad. It really feels bad. So they're taking that choice out, and I'm okay with that from a gameplay, because that's supposed to be the easy class to play.
Yeah.
So I'll give it that. Another ranged class we have is Black Mage.
Yo.
We knew it was gonna be good.
I mean, it's Black Mage 1.
Yeah.
Yoshi P made it.
Yeah, there's no chance.
This is another one I don't think any of us really play a ton of. I think I know I've touched it, and it's fun. I don't know if either of you have. But just a list of changes, Chain, it's going to turn into a trait that is automatically applied while under the effect of Astral Fire and Umbral Ice. So that's cool. I get what that means. Also, something I thought was really cool is you're going to be getting access to new abilities based on if you're switching between the two at the right time.
Not an incentive. That's the wrong word.
but the same thing. As I go through the changes, I'm like, Black Mage was already fucking complicated. It's
sure. So this is an optimized bonus. So if you optimize correctly, you get a bonus out of it.
Yeah. Well, they're making it easier because they're extending the overall proc at range. So you're not going to have to be like, oh god, I have 2 seconds.
Right. I have to do this.
Yeah. It's going to give you a bit more wiggle room,
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, Black Mage is still complicated as fuck, and as a samurai, I'm still going to blow your ass out of the water.
But that's the thing is good Black Mages are few and far between, whereas you can find a lot of good samurais.
It's a Subamegesh with a sword.
Yeah, pretty much.
One trend I do kind of want to point out is that it's a nice simplification, not an oversimplification of class skills and overall flow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only kind of comment on the ones I've deep dived into, like Ninja, Gunbreaker, and other ones we'll be talking about. But it's really interesting just how they added more stuff on, but they also trimmed stuff effectively. That's just an art in and of itself.
Yeah, because ability bloat feels bad,
for sure. But I mean, just going off of the Black Mage into Samurai, since they're kind of comparative for being the top dog of DPS.
Sure, they're selfish.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's all about me and my big slashies. It's, God, I love Samurai so much.
But I'm okay with that to a degree, because, like, from a raid leader mindset, if you are able to show up and just do your job, and you know that, hey, I'm supposed to be on top, and you do it, that feels good.
Like your job as Black Mage or Samurai, respectively, your top DPS. Like that you slash things effectively. That's your thing.
Yep.
Like on the converse of that, like with the ninja, you're kind of like a pacekeeper, because like your pre-buff and dropping your debuff basically, or damage buff, that kind of should line up with everybody's minute cooldowns, and
that's good. They're doing a lot of this synergy, not homogenization, but synergy between the classes, and especially it's interesting to see that they're focusing primarily on these 60 and 120 second windows. Like, they want you to play this way for a very particular reason, and I think that's because from a raid design perspective, they want to make it difficult for you. Yeah. But also, hey, I know 120 seconds from now, it's our next window. Let's do this.
Yeah, it just really goes in line with their philosophy of, like, this raid is more of a choreographed dance, and you're memorizing the steps as you go along. So these are your windows to do your DPS.
I was just gonna say, it's like you're doing a waltz. You're basically just learning the dance over time, or even just picking up on it right away. Like, there's some fights where you're just like, oh man, this is okay. This piece of that, this piece of that. Okay, I remember this fight, or like. Yeah, you just jump into it.
Yeah. And going back into the synergy thing with Samurai, and this is something I'll mention again when we get into Dragoon, Jinpu and Shifu now are applied by AoE combos. So I am so happy!
Yeah, they're doing that for tanks as well that have it, like Warrior, for instance. And also, no, I don't think they did it to Paladin, but Dragoon, like you were saying, it's absolutely necessary, and I can't tell you how annoying it is to, like, hey, let me go do one or half of these two different combos just to get these buffs, and then let's go in my AoE rotation. Like, the mobs are halfway dead at this point in any normal dungeon.
And
you have to flow with the fork, basically.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying.
It's super annoying. It's like it always felt so clunky to have to single target before I AoE.
Yep.
And everyone agreed with that.
Yep.
I do have to commend Dragoon, though. Once you get it down right, you literally can loop it, but that's just... It takes a little bit to get there and all that, but it's still, one of the more relatively easy melee ones, but
Dragoon Biss. Yeah. Another thing that they gave us to really smooth out our overarching lead over the Black Mage filth. Meikyo Shishui, which, if you don't know the name, that's your ability that lets you just use your combo enders to get your stickers. So
that's what the community calls them.
So, but you get 2 stacks of that now, so you can go 1, 2, 3 combo, 1, 2, 3 combo.
Yep. It's honestly, that was one of the main Samurai changes I looked at, was just like, they just made this class even better,
and
they didn't even have to do this. Our
huge 90 ability is Ogi Namikiri, and also Kaishi Namikiri, which is the Iaijutsu one, for whenever you've got that up.
Right.
But and that's just a huge, that was the finisher we all saw during the video, the big fuck you swish swash. And it looks so good.
And it shares with Tsubame Geishi as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be so fat. Like,
it's like, hey, you guys like doing DPS, so you can now DPS harder. You're welcome.
Yeah. It's what a welcome change, and I know no one's gonna fucking complain about that. That's for sure.
But do we? Speaking of change,
it's time. Let's we'll go with it.
Summoner, the third new class.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone here who would say that they're not happy about this.
It's so fucking cool.
Oh man, I'm so interested in that. Like, the flow of the different little eggies and actual summons, and like, oh man.
Well, okay, dot removal. You guys upset or happy?
I don't care. It doesn't feel like watching the new summoner gameplay. It seems like that honestly would be part of what we were talking about before with the bloat. Like, it would just be taking up rotation, and I don't want it to.
So, before we ever saw Summoner come out in Live Letter 66, one thing I had said was, if they want to improve this class, they need to make it so that when you summon the actual primals and not just kind of the Demi-Bahamut. Yeah. What I did not anticipate was that the summoning of the 3 that they've included, Ifrit, Garuda, and Titan, would augment your abilities further. That was a huge surprise to me.
That is so cool.
So cool. And all of them are different. I think that is very important distinction to make it feel fresh, because like Titans are all instant cast, I believe, which like that to me is fucking awesome. And Titan's badass, fucking rock hard abs just comes out of nowhere.
And just thinking about the skill cap that's going to be necessary for summoners, it's now pushed it up to like Black Mage levels of because now you're playing 3 entirely different setups whenever you summon one of these guys, because it's like you're going into melee with Ifrit, then you got the AoE combos with Garuda, and
one thing I do want to be the realist about, though, is that I really hope that it doesn't just land into being like, oh, you just go this for this situation, and that's really about it.
So they Square Enix thought of this ahead of you, and they did it the smart way, because based on what I saw, you have to summon all 3 before you can move into Phoenix Base. Which is genius.
Yes, what I thought was really cool about that is I'm pretty sure also you get to pick what order they come out in.
Correct. So you get to choose it, which I look at it from a min-maxer perspective. If I know a movement phase is coming, obviously Titan's my boy. You know, it's like, I got to be moving. I want my instant cast going on. Yeah. But if it's like Titania, where you have to come in for her AoE knockback, okay, I hope I'm Ifrit so I can get my gap closer, because that gap closer looked bad.
Like, honestly, looking at Summoner's set list and all of the changes, like also being able to choose what order they come out in, this is one of the most unique classes in 14 now. Like, because of the summoning changing up the way you play the Summoner. Correct. Like entirely, almost entirely.
I gotta tell you, from an immersion standpoint, this has been the most exciting changes from all of the Endwalker changes, for me at least. I'm not going to play it as my main, but looking at it and where it used to be, I am just ecstatic. I feel for my summoner mains out there, you guys have been rewarded for your patience, and we appreciate you. Thank you for rezzing as long as you did. All right.
Oh man, shout out to Larry Zor. That, oh my god, watching his reaction every time for summoner. Like,
he was so happy.
He did one when fucking Bahamut summon got announced, and he screamed like a little girl then. He did one for when Phoenix was announced. Same thing, and this time it's the same way. It's every single time Summoner just gets something that's amazing and blows your socks off.
And now they're at a stage where I feel like this is the perfect rendition of them, and you can only improve from now. And I'm stoked. I think it's great. I think it's a great change.
Fucking next expansion, level 100, you get to summon Leviathan and Ramuh. Like,
oh, I was thinking Anima, but I digress.
Ooh, oh, that'd be so cool. Oh.
So for our final 3 sections, we broke them down into 3. Most excited for, most likely to be our alts, and then the honorable mentions. So let's start with the honorable mentions. This is all you guys. What's up?
Yeah, I'll start with Dragoon, just because we kind of dipped into it a bit already.
Oh, I got a quick one on this. I just want to chime in. Extra lasers. The rotation is streamlined a little bit, but I'm so happy.
That's
my 10.
The new Dragoon finisher looks sick as fuck. The change that I'm not sure how I feel about, honestly, Blood of the Dragon
being a trait.
A huge part of the Dragoon thing, and it's something that, like, as you get better as Dragoon, it's kind of like background, really, background noise. But it's like just maintaining Blood of the Dragon. You know, your blue glow.
Yeah, you just
constantly.
keep it up. Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess if it's already in the background.
Exactly. Like, eventually, I guess it became so easy for us to manage. Like, as the expansions went on, the window for Blood of the Dragon got larger and larger, so it was impossible to fuck up at level 80. So I guess eventually they're just like, this isn't a thing anymore, so we're just not it's not going to be a thing.
Well, and to a degree, we talked about button bloat. This is probably an easy cut for them to be like, no one's fucking using this the way that we thought it would. So
but
why
my
not?
whole thing is like I'm losing my blue spinny glow. It's not there anymore.
Sure. I can understand that. What other changes are coming?
Oh, the one we dipped our toes into. AoE rotations now include your buff.
Which
no
is so
more
smart.
single target. So that's one of my favorites. Like just a huge quality of life change for every one of us, tanks, dragoon, samurai, all of us. That was always a pain in the ass to do.
Big.
So that's something I'm huge for. Another the Mimi one, 2 stacks of spine shatter dive. Literally emphasis
So
on
mean.
the spine shattering because that's where we die.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what gets everyone fucked.
Boys!
Which it's so weird to me to see animation lock in anything other than limit breaks. And even then, you're technically casting it, so it just seems so baffling. Because this is the only class that has to deal with it.
As someone who mains and loves Dragoon, like Dragoon is almost always my main go-to melee DPS, even though I love Samurai and Dragoon both. Dragoon, it's got the edge, it's the Estinian, it's the Heavensward trailer, it's but pointy stabby boys. But like having to deal with animation lock and like it's just that extra step of like, okay, I'm safe now. So if I hit my dive now, am I going to be safe in 3 seconds?
Right.
Because
That's
I can't
sketchy
fucking
thought.
move.
That's a sketchy thought because if you don't know the fight,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
in for a world of hurt.
It's that anticipation of suffering.
So they've been going down this route with other classes. I know one of the only changes I know about Dragoon is the new action available upon successful weapon skill combo rotation. And
I was actually just going to jump into that. That is something that's so cool. That just for the
It's
fact
so
that
smart.
they're highly rewarding you to effectively complete your rotation. Not once, but twice. And then you know what you get? You get an awesome ass laser beam, man.
Yeah.
And like I was already going to play Dragoon, but this was the incentive because I've played Red Mage, and that's essentially in my head what is happening right here.
We'll get to their
And so
laser
I'm just
beam,
like,
don't worry.
oh, absolutely. But, like I saw that happening and I was just like, this is so genius of them to reward good gameplay. Like,
Yes.
that's so smart because it incentivizes even the worst of players. And I'm not saying everyone's horrible, but I'm saying even the players that aren't particularly skilled, it incentivizes them to get better so that they can achieve this level of execution. I think that's great.
It's a clear path. It's like,
Exactly.
this is how you get there. This is what you need to do twice. And then look at that. Boom. Bada bing.
Dragoon definitely feels like the entry tier melee for everyone that's coming into the game. Like regardless of who you talk with, when they load up 14 and they see level 50 Dragoon Spiky Boy, like that's
what sold my wife.
Yeah, that's the OG. Like my friends that I got playing it, that's what they fucking pick because he looks so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my wife was going to pick something different, and then I turned on the job gear set when you're in the character creation. And she goes, oh, this is pretty cool. And I was like, it is cool. And there's special dialogue in the second expansion. She goes, cool. Click. Immediately picked it. Like, didn't even hesitate.
Nice. That's awesome.
That's what I started with, and I went all through Heavensward with, and
I'm gonna do that for New Game Plus. I really want, even if they're subtle, I know I could probably YouTube it and see what the changes are, but like, I just want to see Estinian talk to me and be like, hey,
Dude,
I remember you.
No spoilers, but when you do it, when you first go there, no spoilers. All I'm gonna say is that side eye. Like, you'll know when you get there and you see it. You're gonna be like, dude.
We'll talk about it in a future episode because it's very high on my list.
He's side-eyeing me. I'm side-eyeing him.
It's so great.
I love it.
You explode.
So one of the other honorable mentions is the monk. Now, that is what I initially mained as my melee, and I played it at 80 for probably a good 2 months and realized that I was struggling on it. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I was struggling on it so much that it felt very unfulfilling. And so these new changes are amazing. The chakras being unlocked at a lower level, having leveled it 1 to 80 in one go, well worth it. Absolutely necessary. Perfect balance, having 2 stacks, absolutely necessary. Shoulder tackle going to your team members and not just enemies. I have been waiting for that for so long. It did not make sense that it wasn't available. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to choose somebody in my raid group and essentially bridge the gap like in a fight.
Wait,
but I
have
can
a question.
charge back. Like,
Can you, if I shoulder tackle Billy, who's at the edge of the arena, can I shoulder check his ass off?
well, I wish that was the case.
Damn it!
However, no. And they're giving you, I think there's 3 stacks now instead of just 1. So that's pretty sweet. And then I don't know if you guys saw their new job action, but Masterful Blitz looks so good.
Monk looks dope. Yeah.
It looks so dope. It'll probably be one of the earlier melees. I won't say it'll be the first, because it more than likely will not be the first. I've experienced it enough in its current shit state. But I definitely want to experience the changes. I'm pumped. I think they really listened. And shout out to one of the creators that I saw, Drac. Your video, your interview. I love that you were all monk in that one, and I really love that you not only asked questions, but any issues you brought up, you had solutions to them in place. And even if on a technical side you don't understand how to program that in, you presented them with a problem and a solution so that the people who know how to do that stuff can try to implement it.
Man,
c'est magnifique. Thank you so much, buddy.
I've been watching Drax content for
Love him.
years, and
He's
just
awesome.
Like, monk.
and I love people like that. Like, honestly, I might get to a point where I'm like that with Astro, but I just love people who really hook on to one class so much that they really, really know what the fuck they're talking about. So it's really nice. But yeah, let's move on.
Oh, are we moving on to the new
next
one?
Spicy one. I'm really excited for Sage. You know, I do want to admit I did not look too much into it, specifically when I learned one core fact, and then it gave me a flood of some memories. Was the fact that they deal damage to heal.
Yes.
Looked into a little bit about how that is with the buff and how you set it onto something or a target, which can be yourself. Yep. And I was just like, oh my. I know everybody jumps to like, oh, it's like the Discipline Priest, blah, blah, blah. Okay,
that's exactly what I thought of.
I never played a Disc Priest in WoW, so I never actually played a priest, to be honest.
Sure.
So I don't have that experience, but I do have the Chloromancer experience from Rift.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah.
Man. It was like that. It was like a mage that like you healed and dealt damage, or you dealt damage to heal your party and all that jazz. And I had, oh man, just a rush of good memories, and I'm just like, hell yeah, we're going on that. We're diving in. Not to mention the lasers. You know?
Yeah, the lasers go without it.
Obviously, the best is Gundam wings. Like,
yep.
The little lunge forward with the wings. Oh, that's so cool.
So a part of me wants to really hate the Sage. And it's not for the reason. It's not for the reason people think.
Fuck you and your stupid little light things.
No, people are like, oh, you don't like Disc Priest. Oh, you don't want to deal damage. It's actually neither of those. It's because the implementation of Sage being introduced to the game means I no longer get to Nocturnal Sect as an Astrologian.
Aww.
And it's a sad panda moment because I learned that for this particular expansion. I never touched it prior, and I've really had a fun time. So let's get that on record. Now,
rip.
I am so pumped for how Sage looks. The fucking animation looks so good. The sounds, like the sound effects, are so perfectly sci-fi in such a good way that I'm just like, holy fuck, I'm never turning my sound off. Like, there's just no way. And Cardia, so you said you never played Disc Priest. Disc Priest is slightly different in the fact that with Cardia, you select one person and it'll heal that person. Disc Priest has an ability that you can put onto multiple people and they will receive some form of healing because of that. So you get a little bit more out of the Disc Priest. However, the idea behind it is very much the same. You deal damage to heal. So obviously for most sages, when you're leveling, it's going to be on you or your chocobo, depending on how you do things. When you're in your raids and parties, it's obviously going to be on your tank. I love the toxin system that they're doing. I forget the actual name of the toxin, but it looks extremely fun and intuitive, and it looks like it has a very, very high skill ceiling. And I personally like something like that. I think that's going to be... I feel bad for you guys who are taking next expansion, because there are going to be a lot of sages who, I'm not going to say bad, but don't have full comprehension just quite yet, and you're going to suffer for it. So you better have on your fucking pants.
I'm going to die.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no... And even good sages are going to kill groups. It's just how it's going to be. But,
I can't
yeah.
go into fucking Savage with UV, and maybe Nox if he shows up. And just fucking eat shit repeatedly.
Yeah, I actually just cleared my first 2 Eden Savages last Saturday. So
nice,
we got E1S and E2S both on the same night. So that was pretty fun, and we can talk about that at another time. But I am also hyped, and our team is coming together well. So, yeah. Nox, anything else you want to talk about the Sage? Anything in particular that really has you drawn to it, other than maybe the sci-fi stuff?
Well, damn it! You took the word
or is that it?
out.
Okay, no, if that's it,
right there,
yeah, of
it
course.
just seals the trifecta of the machinist, the gunbreaker, and then now I got lasers with the Sage.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you a Trekkie? Is that what's happening?
I mean, actually, I'm more of a Star Wars fan, but
that's fine with me. I'm okay with that.
Gundam factor is what kind of gets me.
Gundam looks pretty sweet. Yeah, definitely.
We're all weebs here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Fuck a t-shirt, guys. All right, let's talk about what's most likely to be our alts.
Well, going right from one sci-fi gun nerd to another, let's talk about the Gunbreaker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. So I'm maining tank, and when I say tank, I mean all 4 of them in Endwalker, because I am a masochist.
I'm the same way.
I'm pretty sure Gunbreaker is gonna be my go-to.
Okay.
Gunbreaker, they did exactly what every single fucking one of us Gunbreaker mains, Nox and me included, wanted, which is don't fuck it up.
Sure.
It was already super fun and super solid to play, and we didn't want a ton of changes, so they didn't, and that feels great.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last episode, and I didn't want to get too far into it. So I know that they have reduced the button bloat a little bit.
Yes. So
tell me a little bit about that.
So actually, as an example from the feast, I know neither of you have really touched it any, but so when you're doing PvP of any kind, if you've noticed, they reduce all of your rotations down to single button.
Okay. Yeah. I've done frontline.
Yeah.
And I actually like that for some classes.
Yeah. So that is partially what they're doing with Gunbreaker. So a couple of their abilities, Savage Claw and Wicked Talon they're automatically going to swap out for Gnashing Fang.
Okay.
So a couple less keybinds there. Also, another cool thing that I'm excited about is Burst Strike, which is kind of like our one-off cartridge user. It does not break continuation anymore.
Oh, nice. That's a good quality of life one, I'd assume.
Yeah, that's super nice for quality of life. Extra cartridge, super simple, straightforward, but that's what we want.
More resources, more flexibility. Hell yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and then basic upgrades with extra AoE bits and stuff. But it's super straightforward and simple. But that's what we wanted for Gunbreaker because it already feels super solid to play and it's fun.
Okay.
So one of the changes, I didn't mention it with Dark Knight, but moving forward, all of our gap closers on tanks got a slight upgrade by 5 yalms.
Oh, extra yardage, nice.
Yeah, so every single take, all of our abilities went up from I think it was 15. I think it's 25, but it went from that to up by 5 yalms. So just a little bit more, but that's really all we needed.
The biggest change that you're kind of glossing over that I'm perturbed about is that we get a whole entire 2 more seconds to terrify our healers.
Super Bowl-eyed.
Yes.
As a healer, that's the only thing I researched.
Super Bowl-eyed gets increased duration to 10 seconds.
Christ.
Yes.
Oh my god.
You
what
say
do I do with you guys?
You say terrify, But the extra 2 seconds just means they have 2 more seconds to finish shitting their pants in order to save us.
Yeah.
Just clean up, there you go.
Absolutely. And it's definitely something that I'm terrified for. That's Gunbreaker is my favorite tank to heal in raids. Absolute least favorite one to heal in dungeons. I fucking can't stand it.
Your toes.
It's dude, I have to focus and I don't like that. When I'm doing dungeons, my mind is off. Like, I just want to DPS. You're fucking my day up.
Fuck, it's a Gunbreaker. God damn it. He's going to hit
Yeah.
full light any second now.
No, usually when I see a Gunbreaker, I'll be like AFK real quick and I'll go grab like fresh water or something because I know I need to be like involved. And that's not fun. At the end of your night when you're just like, I just wanted to chill, but thanks for this expert roulette. Awesome.
Thanks, Mr. Gunbreaker.
Let's go through Paglethan while you don't use any of your CDs. All right.
It is a rite of passage for every Gunbreaker to fat finger Super Bolide and scare the shit out of their healer. All right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like
I've
the
seen it
first
happen
trash
multiple
pull or
times.
And it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Every healer has to experience a random Super Bolide.
No, I've definitely experienced it, and it's like you said, it definitely fucks with the healers. Let's not sugarcoat that one.
I have done it a couple of times myself, and it is never a fun situation to explain.
Yeah.
I
think you guys.
Roll with it, man. I just pop some cooldowns.
I think you guys never really talked about the most important tank change. Ranged attacks don't break your combos anymore, boys. Like, can we?
I mean, that's like the Dark Knight change where I use fucking my ranged attack and it gives me a plunge. That's not something I'm actively incorporating into my rotation.
Anyways,
Like,
that's
yeah,
fair.
like
I like the quality of life, but I mean, it's not like
it's one of
I
the
need
the
to get 600
Yeah.
on the mob or whatever.
I'm far more moist about my extra 2 seconds.
It's don't kill D.
Oh, the fucker said moist. Oh,
Moist.
Sorry, I
but
just wasn't ready.
Like it's cool from like the standpoint of like you're in the middle of a mechanic, and like say you're just doing Savage with the homies, and like oh shit, I need fucking dip for like 5 seconds. I can keep my DPS going for a little bit without breaking my combos. Like it's cool quality of life, but not like
Necessary almost.
yeah, it's not an extra cartridge. It's not an extra 2 seconds on Bolide. It's not we didn't fucking destroy Gunbreaker.
Okay. Does that pretty much encapsulate all of Gunbreaker's upcoming changes?
Yeah, and if we want, I can roll into Paladin.
Yeah, let's talk Paladin.
So like Poster Boy, the poster homie.
Yeah.
Most likely to be my alt because I'm maining Paladin throughout the story of Endwalker because my brain needs it to be that way.
Sure.
The sword beam. That's
So
all I know.
So
about
you
it.
assume? I mean, I'm assuming, but you assume there's going to be dialogue changes for Paladin.
Not necessarily, but
Okay.
I have a thing where at every expansion, it's just something I do for
Play
fun.
the poster child.
I play the poster child. So like
That's fine.
in Stormblood, I main Samurai. Then going into Shadowbringers, went to Dark Knight, which was my boy. I love Dark Knight, even though I'm the worst tank. But
Changes.
But here's the thing, and the thing that I kind of am not feeling about Paladin, none of the changes feel super exciting outside of unlimited blade works.
Yeah.
Sword lasers.
I feel like Requiescat, the remaining MP not being as big of a challenge anymore, is kind of a... I think they basically were like, dude, we kind of know that Paladin's the easiest tank to play up until a certain point, and we don't want people to move away from it because they feel like it's too hard to maximize.
I feel like Paladin is that really solid tank where if you want like the quote-unquote tank, that's your go-to.
Yeah.
Like
got the
super,
shields.
super defensive, a great don't die please.
Right.
AoE is solid, like super great AoE DPS, especially with their new Unlimited Blade Works combo. And like, you know, now they're the poster boy, you know?
Yeah.
They're practically a healer.
Right. Well, and then Sheltron got upgraded when he hit 82 as well, which like is even more of a benefit defensively. So
yeah. But yeah, I guess what I'm getting at is like, and this is a it's kind of a good and bad thing. Gunbreaker is so much fun that I don't want to play the other tanks.
that's a good thing. I mean, it can be bad. I can understand why it would be bad.
That's what I'm saying is like Gunbreaker breaks the mold for me for tanks so much that now I want all of my tanks to be that engaging to play.
Sure. Okay.
Especially now that threat is no longer as huge of a deal as it used to be.
That Shadowbringer's change is so sweet.
They like I don't mind threat not being a huge thing, but they need to put something in place to fill that gap. And Gunbreaker has this fun mix between all of its DPS combos and also using its defensives at the right time, which is still a thing technically for the other tanks, but it's just not as fun and smooth and streamlined. The worst thing I have to say about the Paladin is like it's a good solid tank, but it's also it's vanilla. It is the vanilla of tanks, in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
I know what you mean.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
But the Unlimited Blade Works combo looks fucking sick. That's so cool. Like swords, more swords. Fuck you, big sword.
Fuck you.
Man, I'm looking forward to miss some Gunbreaker Nox.
Yeah, I definitely, that's actually, I'm really excited to jump into the next one here with Red Mage. Don't want to go in too deep because, but I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah, Red Mage is so much fun. Like
I was just getting into it, and that's kind of why I'm like, to be honest with you, like I'm gonna have a talking point when he comes back. But yeah, I may even be shifting that to be my main.
Oh really? Shit. That is huge.
It's the one that I've been like really looking. Oh well.
Get married, they said. It'll be fun, they said. I'm just joking. All right, let's bring us back in. And yeah, all the extra swords are pretty sweet. I think that's
sword lasers. Change. Let's clarify this.
Sword lasers.
Sword lasers.
Excuse me.
It's called Unlimited Blade Works Nox. Thank you. That is an official new name.
I'm gonna like make a hotkey or a macro just to rename it Sword Lasers. And all it is just cast that. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, and it just casts it, and then there's a wait timer, and then it casts it again.
And that one's Sword Laser too.
Yeah.
Speaking of more lasers, the Red Mage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I do want to say I don't have a max level one. I've been working on it before I kind of take a little break from Final Fantasy here, but man, that is the one that I gotta say it may even be my main going into Endwalker. I know these are some bold words I'm saying here.
Yeah, that's why it's most likely to be our alts. You will not be disappointed. This is by far one of my favorite casters, and I typically, some casters I'm okay with. Like, I don't like the current Summoner, and Black Mage, like, I played it so many times in other Final Fantasy ones that I just don't want to play it anymore. Red Mage at 80 is amazing, and the changes have just made it better. I see absolutely no negative to what's upcoming for Red Mage.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like the AoE rotation being changed up the way it is, I think is fantastic. Much like the Dragoon that we just talked about, where they get that extra button for doing it right. So 80 Red Mage already has that with Scorch. Well, now when you execute Scorch, you get another action, which I'm just like, holy fuck. Like, yeah, this is going to be so tight.
Lasers.
You can kind of see a trend of which character.
You want some lasers. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's the 40k influence, I think.
Yeah.
A little bit.
And then they, on top of that, it was already Res Mage, but on top of that, they were like, hey, we're going to give you a defensive cooldown for the whole group. What the fuck were they thinking? That's like, like, you need a Red Mage now. Like,
I feel like in high-end content, you needed one before, at least.
Sure, with the raises.
Though.
Yeah, but then you made it even more necessary. Like, They were like, hey, summoners, we're going to give you these cool summons. You can make your way back onto the roster. Oh, by the way, these guys now have a defensive bubble for everybody, and they raise faster than you do, bitch.
But
like, there's no way.
Your scholar gives us a wicked awesome speed buff.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah. Don't you worry.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, it hurts.
And then on top of that, they made. So I love magic and melee mixed together. I think it's a fantastic thing. And they made the melee better on Red Mage.
Yes.
It's already really good. I like the little 3-button combo. But
I would say I'm looking forward to more of it, because that's the piece that I find.
Big time.
Well, that's the only piece I find lacking, to be honest with you. Is you cast your spells, you dip in, you dip out. Like that's it. Like you don't spend time. I like a little bit. It's far more dangerous, right? But that kind of leads to a allure, right? You jump in, you jump out, you jump in, you jump out. Like that's
they're making it more accessible, because the mana cost of it is way less. And then they changed one of my least favorite ability on the Red Mage is Manification, because it doubles your current mana. Whatever your mana's at, it doubles it, and that requires a lot of thought process to make sure that you get the most out of it, because you want to. Now it just gives you a flat 50 to both, which I think is so much better, because now on the intro you can jump into melee, because you couldn't do that before. You'd have to go through this 30 to 60 second cycle to even have enough resources to go in and do your melee. And now it's like, all right, fight started, get your ass in there, then jump out. It's fucking awesome. Man, it's such a good caster.
Jump in, jump out. It's
dash, wish, poke. Leap.
So in other words, you're convincing me more to make that my main. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, I will say your potential main has one of the best new abilities come Endwalker. We'll talk about that in a sec. But I think honestly, Red Mage it meets a lot of fantasy for a large portion of the community, where you get magic and swords together, and I think they will continue to improve that class, and I'm really excited to see the future of this class, and not only Endwalker but beyond. So, but all right, the finale,
the good.
Speaking of lasers,
yes,
Nox, lead us.
The OG lasers. So this, I'm not saying I'm not excited for the Machinist, but they got 0 new lasers, okay?
But they got a chainsaw, bro.
Okay, you're spoiling it. You're spoiling it, all right? There's got to be some drama here. They got 0 new lasers, but they got an awesome linear chainsaw that not only is an awesome chainsaw, I just want to stress, you're getting to shoot a freaking chainsaw. It adds to the cycle. It's a battery gauge booster. Like, that is exactly the piece that I felt personally was missing. Like, you got your original one, which is the damn it, the name escapes me. But you got your battery gauge booster, and from there, like, you have to keep relying on your 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Not saying it's bad or redundant, but it feels clunky. Now with that as like your opener to pop those both right there, so you can get your overheat and you can drop your queen. Yeah, that's queen right out the gate. Like it just feels like I'm excited for that piece. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I don't have Machinist unlocked at all. So there's one thing I'm a little. So I know that they get a mech at some point. They get like something that charges.
Yep.
Okay, it's called the Queen.
The Automaton Queen. Yep.
Okay, so the Queen, the only way that I think that could be awesome, in my opinion, would be if any buffs that you have get put onto the Queen, as far as like increasing its damage, because otherwise it's just a cooldown and it's not increased by anything else. Is there like does the Queen get buffed if you are buffed when you summon it?
For 2 people that do not main Machinist Nox, how does the Queen work?
Yeah, sorry, that I should have just asked that.
So first off, we got to start off with the turret, because that's where the Queen's origins start. You get the turret, I believe it's at level 40, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
You get it early on in the leveling process. It's literally cool. You build up your battery gauge through doing your normal rotation, and from there, you drop this turret. It sits there, drops some damage, shoots at shit. It's extra DPS. The Queen, when you hit level 80, is when your turret has evolved, if you will, because you're an extra awesome machinist. You've been doing some shit. So I mean, I'm not trying to over glorify it, but it is basically kind of just a cooldown. It's cool to pop, see your robot charge in there and do shit instead of just being a little turret you drop and shoot shit. So it's more dynamic in the fact that you are literally, you know, summoning like a mech to be your partner for a cooldown. But
do you have control over it?
No, it's it's a cooldown, not a summon like Garuda or a Bahamut or anything. Yeah,
okay. And then it's active for I believe it's 8 seconds to start. Oh no, it's actually based on the actual energy input. I don't recall the breakpoints, to be honest with you.
Sure,
but it's at 50. The minimum, I believe, is 8 seconds.
What's the max?
I don't know, because you're supposed to always drop it at 50.
Just drop it. Yeah, okay, fair. Well, I mean, at that point, your max is 8, you know, in
pretty much, yeah.
Thought process. Okay. Yeah, I just, again, I have no idea how it plays. Okay, so then, other than the chainsaw, is there any other changes to highlight?
I mean, you got 2 cooldowns for your crit on call, basically, and your...
nice.
Yeah, that's basically it.
So not a lot of changes.
Not really. Some potency changes. Chainsaw's the biggest deal there. Yeah, Tactician also gets a reduced cooldown.
Okay. Well then, why is it your main? Not to say that you can't do it, but like
lasers.
Yeah. No, I mean that's good enough. Yeah, exactly.
Like that's kind of my whole shtick. I really liked the steampunk aspect.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's what then gravitated me into Gunbreaker, and then that's why I really like Sage too. But as we were just talking about, Red Mage and Dragoon lasers. I mean, they do lasers better than the Machinist. How this hurts me. Like,
I will say from the job action trailer, having no experience with Machinist, it looks aesthetically very pleasing.
Oh, yes.
I love the flamethrower and the poison thrower thing. Whatever those were, that's just really cool to me. Yeah, I really like. And then I've seen the mech, but I just didn't know how it operated. Okay. We talked a little bit about Ez's main. I've said this before. I am an Astrologia main, and what that means for the average viewer is that every single fucking expansion, I get a new job to figure out, and it's very frustrating.
All right, Summoner.
Yeah, like they get it one time. Ugh, big boys over here.
First time.
Fucking. So, obviously, I talked about it when we talked about Sage. I don't love that they took away the 2 secs because it made that is what made that class so specific. It's like I could be a barrier healer or I can slot in as a regen healer based off of my partner in this raid. And it sucks to remove it. Let's get over that. Divination got changed. Based on this, I no longer have a 30-second intro, and that feels really fucking good. Because if you don't execute your intro perfectly as an Astro, your entire group suffers, and that's not okay. So I feel like a weight has been lifted with Divination getting the change that it is. So
that's cool.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, so like right now you have to min-max in your head essentially while you're drawing your cards. You need one of each seal to get the maximum out of your AoE buff. Well, if your draw comes and you get a double of another seal, you have to redraw until you get the one you need. And like in my opener, that's like the last thing I want to do. I'm so frustrated because I'm just like, fuck, all I want to do is get to DPSing because this is the time I don't have to heal. This is my time to, help out the group. Now it's just going to give me a base 6% for the entire group right off the bat, and that is on 120-second cooldown, so I line up with everybody. That feels really fucking good. I also really, really like that they've kind of changed the aesthetic. They've leaned even harder into the stars, which like from a fantasy standpoint, I'm all about.
It looks super cool. I love it.
Does. It looks honestly like they improved a couple of them. Like Earthly Star is a great example. It's our AoE, put it on the ground. It charges up for 10 seconds. If you don't use it before that, it gets to its bigger form, if you will, with another star. And the explosion is really cool. They made it even better. Like, what the fuck? Like that's just so awesome. What I don't like is the card changes and how the cards are going to be working now. It's already complicated, and now they've added 2 separate card systems I got to deal with now instead of just one. And
wasn't it like complicated and then they uncomplicated it? Are they recomplicating it or?
So when it came out in Heaven's Ward, it was pretty straightforward. This gave this gave that, this gave this. These are the classes you should give it to. Okay. Then they introduced Divination, as well as, okay, it no longer gives specific buffs. It's just going to be damage, but you want only some of these were going to increase. If you put it on a healer or a ranged DPS, you're going to get the full 6%, but if you use it on somebody else, you only get 4. And then there's a melee and tank version of that as well. And they made that even more convoluted, and then they added, okay, well, you don't want to earn a seal for your divination, so now what you want to do is just give them the Lord of the Crowns or the Lady of the Crowns based on whoever you're going to give it to, and they just get a 6% buff. Now, I have a buff system for other party members, and then I have a buff system for myself, and that is going to get extremely dicey. It's just going to get so difficult because I have my keybinds very specific. Now I'm like fucking this up essentially, and I don't know. It seems very, very difficult. I will say that I've always loved the class fantasy. They gave us another AoE spell on top of Earthly Star and Gravity. I couldn't be more happy with the fact that they leaned harder into the aesthetic, because that's what I'm most interested in. I'm a space nut, so Astrologian speaks volumes. So happy about the changes. Not stoked that Sage stole the flavor of my class, but
you wanna fucking talk about a class that stole your class's flavor?
It's the last one we have to talk about, and it's the one we're all excited about.
Let's talk about the new fucking edgelord on the block.
All right, Reaper is here. So, okay, let's just talk about the weapon. Scythes are fucking badass.
So cool.
Yeah.
So badass. So I don't know if you guys ever went back and took a look at it. Yoshi P talked about the Limit Break 3 and what it looks like.
It's Xenos's that he uses, yeah.
That big spike that came down.
The huge, I'm just going to times 1,000 the end of my scythe and just
face melt. That is so badass for an LB3. No one's going to be upset if your Reaper uses it instead of your Samurai.
I will. As the Samurai, I will be.
The Samurai. Okay, first off, it doesn't count on your damage when it comes to logs. And secondly, the Samurai is kind of boring.
How dare you?
You take a couple of extra strikes at it.
Disagree.
Midare Setsugeka. It's that with a couple of extra strikes.
Stop insulting me.
Reaper just looks so much better. It looks so much better.
Oh, no. Reaper is my fucking aesthetic.
Yeah.
Dark
you're an
Knight
edgelord.
main.
Yeah, you're an edgelord.
But that's also why I hate it. Because cool things that I could have had on Dark Knight aren't coming anymore.
Absolutely gone.
Yep.
So the flow of the combos looks super cool. They have that teleportability where they get to choose to go back and forth. They're literally fucking tearing a hole in reality and teleporting forward that they can just... It's like people that have come from WoW, it's kind of like the Warlock Sigil ability where they drop a thing, and it's like, I can go back to that whenever I want. Or a Monk ability where they transport back to it. Also, just like with Machinist, their summon, their spirit, is not a summon, it's just a cooldown.
It's like a buff.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Hot take, I fucking hate summoning things. Summoner is the sole exception to that because their entire class is based around it, and it is done so well, especially in Endwalker, that I love it. Normally in other games, your pets are kind of just like these tacked on things, and I have a strong dislike for that. It's like, I want to be doing the cool stuff, not my pet.
I agree on that one.
So, and the transformation where you eat your spirit and just go ham.
Sick.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So tight.
Yeah.
Really cool thing, though, in the opposite direction from the Samurai, they buff party members.
So that's one of the highlights that I wanted to pick up for sure. I love that Final Fantasy XIV has such a large emphasis on group synergy. And even with one or two selfish DPS in your group, you still have everyone trying to basically work together to get the maximum amount out of their characters based on their buffs.
Yeah, that's what Yoshi
so
P
good.
said when he was talking about the Reaper. He was like, yeah, they are not the pure melee DPS like a samurai is.
Right.
You know, they have a buff that they can give their party members to increase their damage. So I think just based on that, I feel like samurai is probably still going to be king of the block when it comes to just I slash the things, I do the numbers. I'm here to make orange parses.
Yeah.
And like that's their thing. But fuck, does Reaper look so cool.
Yeah, and it shares maiming, so I imagine some dragoons will just already be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna level Reaper. We share the same class armor.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I? But what I'm interested to see is it plays so fast, at least from what I saw, how many people are gonna be able to keep up.
Yeah.
I mean, like, fast is one thing, but, like, I don't feel like fast means equals, like, it doesn't equal complicated.
Yeah.
Ninja is a hard fucking class to be good at.
Is that true, Knox?
Yeah, I wouldn't even say I'm a good ninja. I mean, I'd say I'm a decent ninja.
Like, just having a bunch of buttons to press doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be hard. I would prefer it to be really fast. I'm looking forward to seeing the melee flow and the play of it. Am I going to main it? No.
Yeah.
Like everyone else playing fucking Final Fantasy, it's going to be an alt of mine.
Yeah.
But I like my love of tanking is too strong, and I already have an edgelord that is the center of my black heart.
With the dark.
I just want Dark Knight to not be bad. Like it.
Yeah.
That's part of what I was upset about with seeing Reaper. Is like I feel like just take some of the philosophy from Reaper and Gunbreaker and just make Dark Knight better.
Sure.
Like,
well, maybe that'll come full circle. Maybe they'll listen for, some changes, because that's one thing that Square Enix does really well is they will make changes middle of an expansion. If shit's not working, they'll fix it.
I think what me and other Dark Knights have talked about is that part of the reason they're holding off on it or just not doing it at all is that the Blackest Night is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that it's good, but everything else about us does not feel good.
So, okay, well then in that vein of logic, if they made Blackest Night weaker and gave you more, would you be happy?
Here's the thing. In Endwalker, we're getting another ability that we can put on ourselves or a party member to reduce overall damage.
It's kinda
so,
nice.
like, one of our tank abilities, like, just the flat 10% damage reduction. Dark Knights are getting that at like another version of that, and we can choose to put it on everyone else in the group. So that's another damage reducer, kind of like in the vein of Blackest Night. But the Blackest Night is such a core part of our identity,
right,
that I don't know how much it can be nerfed / changed in order to accommodate making us, because like I'm not asking for higher numbers and more DPS throughput, though that would be nice. We're the lowest DPS of the tanks, but just smoother rotations, and like fuck, Reaper looks so cool, but like that's
so fluid. I'm so excited for that.
But like that's the part that I was jealous of watching the just the gameplay. It's like I wish I could do that as like a Dark Knight. Like I wish Gunbreaker wasn't more fun to me than Dark Knight is.
Yeah.
But it is.
Fair. No, and that's fair.
It's fun, man. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. This game allows you to do that. We've all played WoW, where that's not necessarily always the case. So now it feels good to be able to have that ability to even say,
well, not just,
I love this.
Well, not just that, but like I don't know about you dudes, because we've all played WoW, but like I genuinely enjoy multi-classing in this game.
Yep.
It's not a matter of, hey, do you have an alt? It's a matter of, hey, what alts do you have?
Right.
And it's I'm happy to bring that to the raid.
Well, and I'm also happy that I don't have to do it on a different character. It sucks to log out and be like, all right, everything that I've ever done in this character no longer means anything because I want to play this now. And it feels like double, triple, quadruple the amount of work depending on how you go about it. I main healer for one very simplistic and selfish reason: queue times. That's it. I don't want to deal with queue times. I like playing DPS, but I hate waiting around. My time is valuable, and I don't have a lot of it to play, so I like to maximize it. But to be fair, I happen to be good, but that's... Yeah, it's selfish for sure.
Like that was my mini rant about the Reaper. What are your boys' thoughts on Reaper?
Go ahead, Knox.
Well, I mean, damn, you kind of hit on most of my points right there. Is that like the aesthetics? It just hits home on all the the inner edgelord in myself as well. But like the flow that I saw, but like their example rotation, like, and then seeing videos of like gameplay, and like, oh man, it just ticks all the boxes. But like, I'll be blunt, like it's not gonna be my first or second choice, specifically because like I really do want to have a tank primary, or like close primary. Like,
Absolutely.
even if I main like shift to either do my planned idea of machinist or red mage, gunbreaker is going to be right there gear wise. I'm going to be doing the same content, same parallel, etc. Like that's my plan. Close behind, I definitely have my eye on Reaper. Like it's just one of those. It's like, how can you not get excited about it? Like,
yeah, no, exactly. It's fucking it's so good.
For me, that answer is kind of a two-parter. One, I just really like classes that synergy. Like, I've raid led for so many times, like so many years, that the ability to just sync up with other people in the group and improve other people without even trying, just how your class actually plays, perfect to me. And that's why I like it. That's not to say I don't understand the value of samurai or black mage. I really like knowing that everyone in my group feels important for some reason, other than I'm just here to be the biggest dick that I can.
But I mean, here's the thing: is like there are players that like that is their thing. That's
totally
what they want.
And if they excel, I'm with it.
yeah. If they're good at it, yeah. But like the people that think they're good at it and they're really not.
That's me.
But
I think I'm a good samurai.
the other half of it for me, and this is totally specific to me, I might have mentioned this to you guys at some point over our talks. I don't like things that are overhyped. I have a really hard time when shit gets like blown way out of proportions. Never finished Game of Thrones. I still haven't finished the Marvel Universe. Like, I just don't like shit that gets so crazy. And, oh my God, you got to see Transformers 14. This shit's fucking wild. You know? Yeah.
You haven't seen Fast 9? Like,
to be fair, I watched Squid Game before I started seeing it on the internet. Like, it just showed up, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. This is weird.
Asking me about it and shit, and I'm just like, what? Yeah, I already finished all of it. They're like, what?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me, too. And I was just like, oh, fuck.
Quick side tangent. I don't know if either of you seen Midnight Mass. Do not recommend. It is fucked.
Okay, that's gonna hurt your feelings. I don't know if I like stuff like that.
It does. It does hurt my feelings.
Fair enough. All right, so those are pretty much all of the upcoming job changes in a nutshell for Endwalker.
So many fun things. So many good things.
Yeah, I think we kind of encompassed a lot of different things on this. Knox.
So,
say the line at the bottom.
Obviously, there are some more in-depth than others at this moment, but I think I noticed a trend who plays what.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious. You could tell that we're stoked for a majority of the changes headed to all the things in Endwalker. Like I obviously favor some tanks over others and some classes over another, but like all of us have an interest in playing a ton of different shit.
And this game allows you to do it,
and that blows my mind.
You can't.
I don't know if I've ever played an MMO like that or like a class system like that where I'm like, okay, I want to dip my toes into all of
it, and it feels good. I also like that people share gear, because that's the issue with playing multiple classes in other games is the gear. It's like, fuck, I gotta re-gear this guy. Like, oh shit, like you can cross over and kind of double dip in that regard, and that really makes it easy, especially for us tanks and healers, specifically those two, because they encompass the entire thing. Like, materia might be a different situation, but it's really easy
at that point. But
right.
Like unless we're like pushing fucking Epic of Alexander, I'm not worried about that.
It'll come. But speaking of Epic of Alexander, we're gonna get a new ultimate fight. However, Endwalker is delayed, and this episode is going to come out a week after that has happened. So I don't know how it affects you guys, but it did not phase me at all, and I'm actually kind of happy about it.
Kind of brief point about it. I wouldn't say it didn't affect me. I was a little bummed, right? But at the same time, I'm like, I respect that they acknowledge, they need to take more time to polish it. I'm more than happy they're going to take it.
Yeah, Yoshi P and the team have more than earned our trust with saying, hey, if we need these 2 weeks, we fucking need these 2 weeks.
Well, and like 2021 is the year of botched game releases. You know, and it's like at some degree, especially as a game director, you have to be like, we do not want to be on this fucking list. No, you know, like, and I appreciate that
fucking
cold,
that fucking cold ass moment in one of the interviews Yoshi P was having, where he's like, yeah, you know, we're the hardest working ones at Square Enix, and if anyone wants to prove us wrong, go ahead and try.
Love it.
And I was like, God damn,
yeah,
my boy.
I love that. Yeah, it's spice, but it's well earned because he knows. Like, it's like the people who do like MMA or sports and stuff, and they talk as much shit as they can. Like, if they're at the top of their game, they're allowed to do that. You've earned it. You're up at the top. You can say what you want to say. And Yoshi is one of the best, if not the best, game directors and producers that we have on this entire planet.
It just shows me how confident he is in his team and their work ethic.
And they've earned that. And, you know, I think we as a community, I've seen some negativity, obviously. I can understand. I feel for the people who had time off that they can't fix. That sucks. I empathize with you because I've been in that similar situation before. Understand it's a video game. That's where my other half sits.
Yeah, it's that, and it's also, like, I can understand if this were any other game dev, right? But again, I feel like they've more than earned our trust as a community with asking, say, hey guys, this is super last minute. We are very, very sorry, but we need these 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, and then that's another issue. It's only 2 weeks.
And it's not even just that. It's like, this really fucks their own schedule up because they keep having to push shit back now.
Yeah.
And they went into the thing. But we can.
I mean, that man cried.
He did. That man has cried multiple times.
He has, and that shows a true passion. And I think we all can. I think that's why we're able to connect with him on a even deeper level, even if we don't know, is because he shows he's human.
Yep.
I love it.
And that he cares about this game very much.
This is his baby for all intents. I mean, he's got, I think, 1 or 2 kids. I know he's got 1 for sure, but this is his baby for all intents and purposes. So,
yeah.
But that's going to be it for episode 4 of Best in Slot Radio. Wherever you get your podcasts, we are syndicated up to 14 different podcasts right now. You'll see us on Google soon. For those Google listeners out there who had to go elsewhere, I apologize. I'm almost there, I promise. It's not me, it's them, and I mean that.
What do you mean me? It's not me. It's
you. Google is being a real pain in my ass.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just say that.
I definitely didn't feel called out.
If you are catching this on YouTube, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't say like, dislike, drop a comment down below, or subscribe to the channel if you feel like we've earned it. We will see you next time. I'm DTG.
I'm Ez.
And I'm Nox.
Take care, folks.
Bye.